One, biggest recovery thing, sleep. That's the biggest thing. If you guys aren't sleeping adequately, then you're fucking your training.
Well, we just went through this with Tara. That's something I was just talking about. She actually just cut in 9 weeks. I'm actually in the process of writing an article about this right now, so make sure you read that when it comes out, because I'm going to get a little bit more in depth with it. But weight class transitions is something that's pretty common in powerlifting, where you want to maybe drop to a lower weight class and maintain strength. The way that I do this, I have sort of a plan that I follow for everything. But for this, the way that I do it is I'll have people train in calorie deficit for a period of time to lose whatever amount of weight it is that they need to. Like, for example, if she normally walks around at 196, competes at 196, and she's in the 181 class, so we're able to make her make that cut. So in order for her to get to, we wanted her to compete at 165, we figured that 175, 176 would be a pretty decent walking around weight for her, and that would be a reasonable cut for her to make. So we dieted her down over a period of, 10 weeks, something like that, and lost that 20 pounds. Now, throughout that period, you are gonna lose a little bit of strength. So ideally, before you would compete, you would want to set aside a period of time to do some training cycles at the new body weight, the meet day weight, let's say, okay? So for her, now we're going to do a full training cycle, a full macro cycle, I should say, maybe 5-6 months of training at this new body weight. So whatever weight you lose during that transition, whatever strength you lose, whatever weight off the bar you lose during that transition of losing the body weight, you can get that back, relatively quickly, assuming you're not near your potential. So don't stress.
Don't look at it as I lost some strength over 3 months. Let's look at it over a year.
So is your goal to do a powerlifting meet, or do you even think that's a goal?
No, in general.
Okay, so this would be my advice for someone who's not like, okay, she has a very different goal. It's to be at a world-class level and to be. So for you, my advice would be to look jacked. Who gives a fuck how strong you are as long as you look jacked? That's really it. Like, as long as you look jacked, that's all that matters if you don't step on a platform, quite frankly.
Right.
Like, I mean, if you look jacked and you're healthy, that's all that matters.
Honestly,
you guys are fucking enabling each other right now.
No, dude, that is true. If you don't step on a platform, then it doesn't matter if you lose strength, as long as you stay healthy, you're maintaining your lifts, you're doing the right things. You look jacked.
I agree. It doesn't matter, but for the same token, the strength you'll lose is overstated anyway.
Yeah, no one cares because you have sweet fucking biceps.
People act like you're going to get really weak when you lose weight, and in reality, what ends up happening is once you normalize at that new weight, the strength is still going to be there to some degree. The little bit you lose will come right back.
And a lot of it's just your leverages. You're just getting used to the different leverages.
Like changing the position, starting position for deadlift, stuff like that. For me, I'll put it to you like this. Best deadlift I ever did when I was 330 pounds was 710. Did 765 when I dropped 60 pounds off my body weight. You would think that would make my deadlift go to shit. But because my starting position is so much better because I didn't have a big fat stomach in the way, it made it so much easier for me to start. Now for squat, my squat suffered a good deal. My bench press went down about 20 pounds, but realistically it depends. You might be a better lifter at a lower body weight too. So I mean, that's a consideration also.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, honestly, like you don't want to overcomplicate things. Like to me, when you're beginning, it's pretty simple. Pick a program and stay with that program. Don't jump around on programs. It doesn't matter what you do. Like, just pick something and stay with it.
I agree.
Because you don't know if it's gonna work for you or not if you do it for 4 weeks and you switch to that. So if you're beginning, it's a simple fucking formula. The hard part of that is the consistency. That's the hard, you know what? Eat foods that aren't sugar filled and don't come from fast food. Eat good, clean foods, get your protein in. That's your nutrition, done. Program, pick something, stick to it, go to the gym 4 days a week.
Best advice you can get is what you just said. Follow a program, dude.
And get your sleep. And I just fucking fixed everybody. Like, I mean, it's really it. Like, and be consistent.
Best thing I can tell all you guys here is if I give you one piece of advice that you take away from this is pick a method of training and be consistent and follow it. Don't jump all over the fucking place.
Give yourself a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
Don't
it
change
takes
stuff
time.
every week.
It takes
Seriously.
time.
I mean, and also another consideration here when you're talking about losing strength, okay? If you're nowhere near your potential for strength, you're probably still going to be able to get stronger while you're losing weight anyway. Realistically. I mean, it's not something that's uncommon at all for someone to continue to improve their strength while they're losing body fat, you know? You're not going to probably put a whole bunch of muscle on while you're losing body fat, but you can still continue to get stronger because a lot of those improvements are neuromuscular, you know, like we're talking about motor unit recruitment proficiency, stuff like that.
What kind of considerations would you have if you had older like guy with younger training and you just kind of come in and say, hey, man, I want to get strong. Where do I start?
All right, I mean, look, I'll gladly touch on this. I have a competitive female powerlifter that's 63 years old, you know. You probably can lift as much as some of the dudes in here. You can do it. The issue is how to go about it. And what I found is the best working with, not that you're old, I mean, God, you're still a spring chicken, really, you know. But when you compare yourself to somebody like Ellen Stein, I'm talking about. But just move into things more slowly, you know, kind of build volume. Don't jump right into where I have like templates that I use for a fifth set for my methodology. When I'm working with somebody who's older, okay, I know that recoverability and adaptability is going to be slightly lower than a younger person, okay, for a number of reasons. But that's kind of beside the point. So what I would do is kind of reduce the volume and step load into it, okay? So whatever kind of protocol you're using as far as programming, I would reduce what you're doing maybe by 30%, and then over a period of microcycles, maybe over 4 or 5 microcycles, work back up to what the normal starting would be. So just kind of ramp into it, okay? And then just monitor things, you know, biomarkers, issues that they're running into, pain, stuff like that, you know. Muscle soreness or like I said, recoverability is going to be a little bit, you know, and a longer microcycle tends to work good too. Like I use a 9-day microcycle rather than a 7-day microcycle where like every Monday is squat day, for example. I space it out so that we do 4 training sessions over a period of 9 days. And that seems to work good for beginners, but it also works really well for people that have limited recoverability. Basically what I'm saying is this, whether it be a 2-day training week or a 4-day training week, whatever the total volume is, because the programmer should take that into consideration, assuming you're following some kind of systemized program, I would reduce the total work over the period of the week for the older person in the beginning, and then gradually step load that back up.
Figure out what beats you up too. Do you feel shittier after a squat day or shittier after deadlift day, and maybe?
Right. If you might have to reduce everything and keep it lower too. That's another thing.
And you might only deadlift once a month, or maybe twice a month, and one's heavy, one's light, or so. Like if you squat on a Monday, go in on Tuesday and grab a dumbbell, kettlebell, whatever. Do some goblet squats, body weight squats, anything to mimic that movement a little bit, get those muscles working again, but don't beat yourself up again.
I'll be honest with you, I do cardio, which I didn't do when I was younger, as much as I do now. And that helps. It's helped a lot. I mean, I believe that there are, like, between, like, we're talking about this mitochondrial adaptations, there are things that are going to actually, like, where you do have to, when you're doing a program, that there's so much recovery on the table. And cardio, it's true, it is going to take a little bit of that. However, I mean, when you get,
Slow.
Yeah, we're talking long, slow. When you're doing steady state cardio, okay, you have a threshold. What I recommend for people that are powerlifters that compete in powerlifting, which that's pretty much everybody that I work with, I tell them 10 miles by foot per week is fine, you know, split into 3 sessions. And however fast you want to go, that's fine. If you want to do sprints, if you want to do intervals, if you want to walk, if you want to crawl, I don't care. With that, you have that recoverability. And it becomes almost, in my opinion, like a zero balance. It takes nothing away because it improves your recovery, okay? So while you are spending a little bit of recovering from the cardio, it's actually helping with everything else. And you're gonna be able to train better, you're gonna be able to breathe. You know, for those that this is a consideration, you can have sex without looking like you're gonna die in the middle of it. Things like walking upstairs and not like you're gonna have a stroke, you know. So, I mean,
It's all overrated, actually.
So, energy system wise, you're like, what is, to build on what he's saying, your aerobic system. So obviously powerlifting is a highly anaerobic activity, but your recovery potential comes from your aerobic system. So if you don't have enough aerobic system to recover from those workouts, like you're saying you're being older, but how are you just walking on a treadmill at 125 heart rate for 20 minutes? If you can't do that without the treadmill stopping, then obviously your aerobic engine is so small, you won't have room for any anaerobic recovery, because even though obviously powerlifting is not an aerobic sport at all, your recovery is based off your aerobic how big your aerobic engine is. So that aerobic engine will fuel anaerobic recovery. And that's why, like for football players, which is a highly anaerobic sport, we have to do tempo training to build aerobic threshold because they have to be able to recover for plays. It's the same kind of concept in powerlifting.
Yeah, nonlinear strength endurance, that's also a component. But on the other side of the coin, another thing to consider is this: cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death worldwide. Right?
You're not very strong when you're dead.
Right, you can't lift shit when you're dead. That's the truth. So, I mean, that's a consideration.
Fact.
And those of you who are younger, thinking about it now is going to help later on. You know, it's going to help you maintain, you know, your health. You know, you can't lift if you're dead. That's huge.
So when I look at recovery, I look at it like this. So one biggest recovery thing, sleep. That's the biggest thing. If you guys aren't sleeping adequately, then you're fucking your training. It's because it doesn't matter. So nutrition's another part of recovery. Manual therapy is another part of recovery. So whether you're getting massage, MAT, ART, acupuncture, fucking there's so many. Whatever you're doing, manual therapy, right? But like the other part of it, what Casey was talking about, recovery workouts, is that so when you do recovery workouts, it increases blood flow. Blood flow brings nutrients. Nutrients heal. So the more of those recovery workouts, the more healing, the more recovery. So you want to look at, especially as you age, I mean, ask my people, how long's my fucking warm up? Like, yeah, you guys will see tomorrow morning, my warm up's like 45 minutes is short. And so because I'm doing a lot of mobility, a lot of recovery stuff through that warm up, you know? And so I'm 45 minutes before I'm ever touching any kind of weight.
Those of us who have had injuries and stuff too, the considerations for that, like with the spinal stuff, like I do like a series of bracing cycles of bracing warm-ups before I touch anything, before I touch a dumbbell, a barbell, anything, you know? And yes, that's absolutely.
So yeah, and the other part about that too is hormone profile for recovery. So if you're older and you don't get your blood checked, your hormone profiles checked, then you're missing out on that part of recovery as well. So, you know, if your, hormone levels, if your testosterone levels are 150, then your inflammatory response is going to be so high that now instead of that 9-day cycle, you might have to have a fucking 27-day cycle because your inflammation. So make sure, especially as you age, those everyone should be getting their blood tests done, no matter what age you are, but as you age, that becomes even bigger because you're just naturally gonna have that drop in testosterone, and then your recovery potential is gonna become lower and lower. So those are things, there's, all those ways, whether it's hormone, whether it's sleep, nutrition, manual therapy, all those things are recovery workouts. I mean, those are your 5 big ways to handle your recovery. So if you feel like you're getting beat up or you're not doing that and you're not addressing one of those 5 things, then you're missing out.
Those are the same issues. The issues that older people run into are the same issues that people at a higher level run into recovery-wise, okay? Because people that are, at the elite level, at the best in the world level, like we're talking about, to bring up Zahir again, he was telling me he squats, and you think about a guy that squats 1,100 pounds raw, right? Imagine how long it takes to recover from that. He said not only does he not train squat once a week, he doesn't do anything for 3 days after he squats at all. Like he'll squat and then he doesn't do any type of lifting because he's at that level where for his recoverability, he's not.
He goes and shoots a Kalashnikov and.
Right. Yeah. That was fucking. Russians actually gave him that, made him shoot that thing. They were like the Russian military when he was over there. They were like, "Here, you shoot this." That's what that video came from. But yeah, it's kind of.